Hi, I'm Joe, and today I'm going to talk about the announcement that's finally been made that LEGO is making an officially licensed Star Trek set, the USS Enterprise 1701D. Now, normally I wouldn't make a video about a set announcement as I'm not a LEGO ambassador or sponsored in any way, but given my main topics on this channel, the only thing that would make this set more perfect for it would be if it came with a jack-o'-lantern. So yes, I'm a LEGO fan and a Star Trek fan. What level of Star Trek fan am I? I've seen all the movies multiple times, and all of the TV episodes, most of them multiple times, even though I don't necessarily like all of them. I don't play games or read books in the expanded universe, and I don't freeze frame the shows to look for obscure details, although I admit I'm familiar with many of them, and I don't know the details of where everything is supposed to be on every type of ship. But most importantly, I am enough of a fan to buy this 3,600-piece LEGO set for $400, but I certainly understand people's concerns about such a high price tag. As for the set, I want to go through the pictures that LEGO has published so far, and I will say that I have watched LEGO's live announcement, as well as a few videos posted by other YouTubers like Racingbrick, Jang, Tiago Catarino, and of course, for the Bricking News podcast fans, Nunes. I'll try to include links to those videos in the description. And I want to get my thoughts out there before the hands-on reviews start dropping as soon as tomorrow. My initial impression is that how this looks depends very much on what angle I'm looking at it. The underneath angle is pretty good, and something I didn't think about much until I was doing these videos. It's the most common view we actually get in the show, which is shown on the box. Another thing I notice is that there are no exposed anti-studs on the bottom, which is better than what Mega Bloks and Blue Bricks were able to do. I'm kind of curious how they did that, since LEGO doesn't use studs on top and bottom pieces like those brands do. I'm wondering if there are bricks like this in the middle, but I'm not sure they would have enough clutch for a model of this size. But there has to be something like that in there, because the windows are represented with prints on the tops of curved pieces that are attached so that they appear like they're attached sideways. Also, since viewing from underneath is the most common way to see the Enterprise, LEGO has designed the stand so the ship is angled up, and so there doesn't need to be extra support to hold up the saucer. The Blue Brick ship had an extra support. The Mega Bloks model didn't, and its stand is actually very similar in that it inserts into a gap in the secondary hull. The LEGO model has two gaps for its Technic-based stand to support the model. The stand is also built long ways to give extra support for what I'm sure is a top-heavy saucer. The saucer is one of the things that definitely looks different from different angles. I mentioned this on the Blue Bricks model, how the oval shape of the saucer seemed to be exaggerated. But the LEGO model seems to be the same way. I guess we never really see the ship at this angle on the show. The tan pieces here look a little out of place, too. There are a couple of micro-scale details at the back where there is a tile you can remove to see the main shuttle bay. And one of the shuttles is attached with a Technic axle, and you can remove that to separate the saucer from the rest of the ship. This was a feature of the Enterprise on the show, but it was only shown on screen 4 times, 3 in the TV show, and 1 in the Star Trek Generations movie. Of course, the Blue Bricks model also had the ability to separate the saucer, but I don't think it was by design. As for the rest of the ship, the deflector dish is one of the things I was very interested in, and I had hopes for there being a light brick in there, but it was not to be. Instead, the deflector is made from what look like 2 windscreen pieces, which I believe are the same as what's used on the Phantom in the latest Star Wars Ghost and Phantom set. But on the Enterprise, these are printed on the outside and placed on the model so the inside of the windscreen is facing out, and this is what gives the deflector its effect. The rest of the secondary hull looks like a mix of normal and snot building. The nacelles look very similar to the shape of the Blue Bricks nacelles. The LEGO model uses translucent red pieces on the end, which I see as an improvement. One thing that is not an improvement, though, is that it appears there are quite a few stickers. I don't hate stickers with the passion of other AFOLs, but I did like that Blue Bricks used all prints. Now on to what I'm sure will be a huge draw for a lot of people, the minifigures. 2 things I'll get out of the way now are that these figures span the entire run of the show, as all of them never could have appeared in these forms at one time, and I'll explain that as we go, because the characters change throughout the run of the show, and the minifigures try to capture the most distinctive looks. Also, there are no rank pips on any of the figures, which is disappointing, as both Mega Bloks and Blue Bricks managed to include that very small detail. I'll start with the Captain Picard figure. I thought there might have been a bald hairpiece included, but this figure seems very consistent with the other Patrick Stewart figure of Professor X. Picard comes with his cup of Earl Grey tea, hot. Next is the First Officer, Commander Riker. This is from Season 2, as he has his beard. In fact, you may be familiar with the term jumping the shark, as the event that signifies a moment a TV show starts becoming significantly worse, and that originated with Happy Days when they jumped a shark. The opposite of this is when a show grows its beard, because it was noted that Star Trek The Next Generation started becoming much better after Riker started growing his beard. His figure is shown with a brick-built trombone, which the character played on the show even before he had the beard, and the LEGO designer believes this is the first brick-built trombone in a LEGO set. Riker's actor, Jonathan Frakes, is still very active directing episodes of the more current Star Trek shows, and he even recorded the video promoting this LEGO set. Next is the android character, Lieutenant Commander Data. He has slightly paler skin and yellow eyes, and is shown with his pet cat Spot, who did not appear on the show until Season 4. Then we have Security Chief Lieutenant Worf, a Klingon with a custom headpiece that I think looks pretty good. He also has the yellow uniform and silver sash, which places him in Season 2 or later. He also has an odd-looking brick-built phaser that looks like it has a printed slope piece on top of it. And yes, he is shown here with Spot because he did not appear comfortable with the cat. And as our house has recently become home to an orange cat, I totally get that. Next we have Counselor Deanna Troi, and instead of the blue uniform that she started wearing in Season 6, she is in a purple jumpsuit that was one of the outfits she started wearing in Season 2. Her accessory is a data pad, which I think at least makes her look a little bit more like part of the crew than if they gave her something like a chocolate bar, which would have been more in line with how the character was unfortunately written. Next is the ship's chief medical officer, Dr. Beverly Crusher, who was on the show on every season except Season 2. Her hairstyle and color changed a lot throughout the show, and she frequently wore a blue lab jacket, but here she is just in uniform and holding a tricorder, which is represented by a tile. Next is Geordi LaForge, who became chief engineer and started wearing the gold uniform in Season 2. And his most distinguishing feature is his visor, which is printed on his head. I'd be interested to see if he has an alternate face without the visor and showing the little red lights next to his eyes. His accessory is an engineering toolkit. Next is Guinan, who is the bartender in 10 Forward, starting from Season 2, and famously portrayed by Whoopi Goldberg. She has a custom hairpiece with one of her many hats, which all covered her hair but had some sort of flat piece at the top. Her accessory is a bottle of Aldebaran whiskey, or as Data explained to Scotty, it is green. And of course that itself is a play on an original series episode when Scotty pulls out a bottle of something and he doesn't know what it is and just says, it's green. Finally, we have Wesley Crusher, the son of Dr. Beverly Crusher, and this figure shows him as an acting ensign in Season 1 because he has the red, gold, and blue stripes on his shirt. And I only read today that the reason he wore those colors was because he wasn't assigned to any single department. And since red meant command, gold meant operations, and blue meant sciences, he wore a shirt with all three colors. His accessory is the most elaborate, and I believe it is his handheld tractor beam / repulsor beam from the Season 1 episode, The Naked Now, which saw Wesley catch the disease of the week and become a general pain in the engineering section. However, Wesley was not yet an acting ensign in that episode. But the funniest thing about this figure was something I heard from the LEGO designer today, because Wesley was not exactly a popular character with many Star Trek fans at the time he was on the show, but the designer included a figure for him because Paramount told him he had to. Finally, I want to take a quick look at the gift with purchase, which is the Type 15 Shuttlecraft. I don't know much about Shuttlecraft, so I can't say much about it other than it looks like a shuttle pod. This one is named the Onizuka, which I don't remember from the show, but it was apparently in several episodes, including The Mind's Eye, where Geordi gets captured and brainwashed by the Romulans, and according to the LEGO designer, there may be an Easter egg referencing that episode in the set. There appear to be quite a few stickers on this model, and I don't know if there are any prints. The Onizuka is named after Ellison Onizuka, the first Asian American and first person of Japanese heritage to fly in space. Sadly, he was killed in the Challenger disaster. But the main attraction of the GWP is the minifigure, Ensign Ro Laren, who first appeared in Season 5 and was supposed to stir things up on the show as she was the first less-than-perfect Starfleet officer to be featured semi-regularly. She was on 8 episodes and eventually got promoted to Lieutenant Ro by the end of the show. She was a Bajoran, and their most distinctive feature is the crinkly bit over the nose right between the eyes, and this is represented as a print on the head. Bajorans also often wear earrings as part of their culture, and this was a point of contention in Ensign Ro's first appearance because it was against Starfleet regulations. But she eventually was allowed to wear it, and that is also represented with a print on the side of the head. As for including her as a minifigure, I thought it was odd as she was only in 8 episodes. Q was also on 8 episodes, and was a more significant figure throughout the show, but there really isn't a build he belongs with because he doesn't have a ship, although he did feature in a shuttlecraft on 2 of his 8 episodes. The other figure I'd have considered is O'Brien, who was the transporter chief and appeared dozens of times and appeared at least once in every season, even though he had moved to Deep Space Nine in Season 6. I'm holding out hope that he wasn't included because there will be a DS9 set in the future that will feature the cast of that show. The LEGO designer also admitted that he wanted to include Q and O'Brien, but they ran out of budget. Thanks for watching my thoughts on the new LEGO Enterprise set. I'm sure the hands-on reviews will start dropping soon, but unless they all report that this is radioactive or something like that, I'm sure I'll be ordering it at midnight on Black Friday. I do have some more builds coming soon, including a new Star Trek build from one of the more recent shows, and I'm excited to see how that comes out. And then I have a pretty full lineup of new Christmas builds to do. But until then, remember, today is a good day to build.